When people talk about DC's biggest cinematic failures, 2011's Green Lantern is usually at the top of the list. The film was a box office flop, criticized for its messy story and questionable CGI. But for all its flaws, the movie actually got one very important thing right, something DC Comics themselves have struggled with for years. That truth? Sinestro works best as a villain, not a hero. The problem with Sinestro's redemption arcs. In the comics, Sinestro has gone through countless reinventions. He started as a fallen Green Lantern corrupted by power, who went on to create the fear-powered Sinestro Corps. That's where he shines, as a symbol of tyranny, fear, and corruption. But over the years, DC has repeatedly tried to redeem him, painting Sinestro as an anti-villain, or even shoving him back into the Green Lantern Corps. The most recent attempt was especially forced. After losing his Yellow Lantern battery, Sinestro briefly wielded a Red Lantern ring, fought alongside the Green Lanterns and then, somehow, was just given a Green Lantern ring again, as if his past genocides and crimes could be forgiven overnight. No trial, no accountability, just a free pass. And suddenly, Sinestro was acting like a noble hero again. It felt lazy, unearned, and completely at odds with the essence of his character. Why Sinestro should never be redeemed. Sinestro isn't a misunderstood leader who just wants order. He's obsessed with power and control. Even his so-called order through fear philosophy collapses under scrutiny. When he built the Sinestro Corps, he didn't recruit heroes or protectors. His rings sought out the worst beings in the universe, terrorists, killers, and monsters who thrive on spreading fear. He even welcomed cosmic threats like the Anti-Monitor and Superboy Prime into his ranks. That's not order, that's chaos weaponized. And when you look at his rule over Korugar, his homeworld, the truth becomes crystal clear. Sinestro didn't protect his people, he ruled them like a dictator, demanding worship and obedience. His Corps functions more like a cult than a peacekeeping force built entirely on fear, violence, and blind loyalty. This isn't the story of a flawed hero, it's the story of a tyrant who cloaks his ego in the language of order. Why this matters. That's why Green Lantern, for all its faults, was right to position Sinestro as a future villain, not a redeemed hero. He isn't DC's Dr. Doom or Black Adam, characters who walk the line between ruler and redeemer. Sinestro is far darker, far more dangerous, and far more compelling as an unapologetic villain. Because the truth is, he never cared about order, he only ever cared about power. And trying to soften or redeem him doesn't just weaken his character, it undermines the cautionary tale he represents. Sinestro works because he shows us what happens when fear is used as a weapon, when control masquerades as peace, and when tyranny hides behind the promise of order. And that's why no matter how many redemption arcs DC tries to write, Sinestro should never be a hero. The evidence is clear in every panel, every story, every attempt at redemption that falls flat. His power comes from fear, not hope. His methods breed tyranny, not justice. And his very essence represents everything the Green Lantern Corps stands against, so perhaps that maligned 2011 movie understood something that decades of comics have forgotten. Some characters are meant to be villains, and that's not a limitation. It's their strength. Sinestro's power lies not in redemption but in representing the dark path that power can take. He is the cautionary tale of what happens when good intentions become corrupted by absolute power. And until DC Comics learns this lesson, they'll continue to weaken one of their most compelling antagonists. Because in the end, fear is not something to be redeemed. It's something to be confronted, challenged, and ultimately defeated. And sometimes the most uncomfortable truth is that some people, and some characters, are simply meant to be the villain. And that's exactly what makes them unforgettable.